Okay, hello everyone, my name is Rocher, I'm a runner of the game Blasphemous, and in this video I will be trying to cover some techniques and setups we use in runs. So I'm planning to do several videos where I'll be covering the techniques, the glitches, the skips, the routes, some strats, some bosses, and some arena strats that everybody's come up to in order to have some documentation about this game's speedruns. As I saw the devs do a stream where they commented, they did commentary over a speedrun, and they had some issue describing some of the glitches, so I guess I'll do this video for everybody to have more knowledge about that. So I've made up a few saves in order to get better practice spots. So first I'm going to cover all the techniques that are overall techniques that you must master because you'll use them really often in a run. Not all of them are that important, but overall is just a lot of stuff to be aware and that will give you overall knowledge about the game's behavior in certain situations, and by practicing you will get through that over and over and over, and you will get more and more consistent. These are game techniques that you can use in casual gameplay. They are not at all that difficult, and they are not glitches. More. So the first technique I want to go over is what is called fast dodging. This is the main movement option in the game. So what you want to do is you want to equip this rosary bed, which is called the fourth toe made of limestone. This reduces the dodging cooldown. So if I don't have it and I try to dodge, this is the normal cooldown, the normal dodge cooldown. If I equip it, I have a cooldown that is still present, but I cannot chain the dodges. But if I am pressing down, I can spam dodges. You can spam dodge when you have down. And for me, I usually play on controller, but during my runs, I will switch from controller to keyboard. And on keyboard, you have a pretty consistent setup as if you press a direction and down. So you have my input display on the bottom of the screen. So if I am pressing down in an input, I can just spam dodge and you will have a consistent effect. But what I like to do is to have this particular angle on my stick, and this will trick the game into thinking I'm both walking and crouching at the same time. So that during the small downtime I have between dodges, if I'm not perfectly mashing the dodge button, I'm still walking, so I'm not losing any downtime to that. So that is a really slight optimization if you want to play on keyboard. Everybody has its own setup, but okay, that's the fast dodge setup. One thing to note is that there are two dodge buffs that you can have in this game. The first one is the little toe made of limestone. So beside the fourth toe made of limestone, basically you're going to have it equipped the entire time. The only category where you don't get it is in any percent glitched, because it's too long to get regarding the game's speed that is already pretty fast. But in any other category you will get it. It's like the most important upgrade in a run. The second upgrade is the little toe made of limestone, which basically increases the dodging distance by 50%. So as an example, if I'm here, so when you rest, I rest because it sets the position to the same point. If I dodge with the little toe made of limestone, you see that my foot is right beside some little line that is under my right foot, and if I don't have it, you see that my left foot is on the line. So basically you have one penitent more distance. So this tends to pay because when you see that you have sometimes really long rooms, and having that little more distance increase make that every 4 or 5 dodges you gain 1 dodge. So that's about maybe 2 to 3 seconds per great room as an improvement. So having a quick menu to switch between rosary beds might be good, because there is also this rosary bed. I think I'll get a video on all the rosary beds to get that. Okay, so that's for the fast dodge. The second technique I'm going to teach you is a technique that you might have encountered during normal casual playthrough. It's called ledge heal, or flask cancelling. So basically, when you use a flask, there is this animation where you cannot do anything, and actually anything will cancel this animation, because here you'll see on my input display when I press LB or when I press flask or heal, I don't know what did I map on my no board, but you'll see that I gain the flask bonus instantly. I'm playing on New Game Plus Penitence, where the flask gives you fervor instead of health. So as you see, the moment I press the item, I gain the bonus from the flask. However, if you are able to cancel the flask animation, you will get the bonus, but you won't get the animation where your character is basically frozen. So there are many ways to do that, because basically anything can cancel this animation. The first thing is getting hit. So usually you'll try to avoid that, because you can die pretty easily in this game. But one of the things to do is when you are walking, or when you are gaining speed from something, when you stop, you have this moment where the penitent will slide, and you want to take profit of this moment to use a flask and to fall off a ledge. So here you see I'm right about to fall, but here I used it. You see that I consumed the flask and gained fervor, but I didn't get the animation of the long stuff. Here I did again. And you can actually use this in another more useful way, is indoor transition, because when you want to transition from a room to another, there is a hitbox of a room transition, and when you hit it, you'll transition to another room. And what you want to do is basically you want to use the slide from the penitent stop to use a flask and to hit the room transition at the same time. So this is pretty difficult because you don't really know where it is, and you want to trigger both the animation and the transition at the same time. So if you manage to chain it, so here you see that I did it twice, and you hear the sound of the flask crashing into your head, and you gain instantly the amount of the flask, and you use them. So this actually speeds up a lot of time. In earlier categories, like in glitch categories or in 1.0.6, when you use the load remover, you actually don't get any time loss from that, because the time stops between door transition. So that's actually pretty cool. As you could have seen at the beginning of the video, I'm currently on 2.0.22 patch, which is the post-DLC patch, the first patch after the DLC. Many things were patched, and I'm going to be explaining that in further videos. So, now, the third technique is called Coyote Jump. It's a technique that have been introduced in 1.0.8, I think. And it basically helps you when you fall off something. You have a small time where you're able to jump right before starting to fall. And so a good way to practice it is to get here, and what you want to do is to do a dodge, and as you're about to fall you want to jump, and if you do it right you will arrive on the other spot. So that looks like this. So if you don't do it correctly, you'll fall from another stuff, but if you do it correctly, you will jump from one way to another. And that's actually a really good way to practice it. And as you can see, I fall right before I just start to rise, so I'm triggering the jump as I am falling. This is a really good quality of life improvement, and this has actually some utilities, as it helps getting some skips in latter patches. So that's Coyote Jump. I guess the only thing you can do to get consistent at it is to practice. This is a really good spot as it's really safe. You have a save point right after it, so once you have finished the game, you can just warp here anytime soon. This is a save file I made for the videos, so don't worry about it. Usually you have the great preview in order to get to that. So that's for Coyote Jump. This next technique I'm going to talk about is a pretty complicated one, but it's really useful when you mastered it. It doesn't have any name right now. I called it the multi-hit damage multiplier, and it's a pretty long name for something really simple. Is that there are actually, I think there are more hits that have this property, but the two well-known hits to have this property is the aerial hit, not the upward aerial hit. This one doesn't have this property, but this one and the upslash have this property, and we'll get back to the upslash because this attack is broken. Actually, this attack and this attack has a strange property, is that if they hit multiple things like breakable stuff, enemies, projectiles, anything, they will multiply the damage they do. I'll explain. So basically, if there are two enemies, actually I have something to show this off. Let me equip this bed that displays the enemy's health. So here there are two ghosts, and here you see that there is one ghost on top of a candle. So as I'll break the candle, I'll hit the ghost in the meantime, so the ghost will take twice the damage. And actually this didn't work. Perfect. But what you want to do is here, you see that I hit both ghosts at the same time and they took damage, which is more than just one hit. Here I did one hit on the ghost. If I'm doing another hit on both ghosts at the same time, I guess the lower one will die, but I have to make sure that they are aligned in a good way, please. Okay, so they don't want to get stacked. So, okay, so basically here I did 2 hit, 2 hit, 3 hits. And if you single hit a ghost, it takes 5 hits for him to die. So the air damage multiplier, or whatever, the damage multiplier, just hit multiple enemies with an air attack or an upslash. It will multiply the damage the attack deals to each target. This is actually really useful for many bosses, like for Tresa Augustias, the boss at the bottom of Grievance Ascend. The boss is 3 instances of a hitbox. There are the 3 ladies. Sometimes they stack up and you can do this upslash, and if you manage to hit all the 3 at the same time with an upslash, the upslash will do 3 times the damage to each target. So that's 9 times the damage of the sword in one hit. And I'll get back to another technique relative to this attack, which is kind of broken. So having in mind the air damage multiplier stuff is really important. And so there is this hit and this hit that has this property. Maybe I'll try to showcase it once more. So here it's 3 hits, and I'll try to show you what it is to just kill one ghost with only regular attacks. So I'm trying to get this ghost first, and now I'm taking care of this ghost, and you'll see that it's a bit more difficult and I need 5 attacks to kill it. So I guess that's a good showcase of this technique. Okay, so you might have seen it, but the next technique I want to talk about is the save and quit. So that's basically a save warp. When you get to the map, you press game option, up twice, you exit the main menu, and then you just mash the accept button, like enter on a keyboard or A on a controller. So it's just set up you have to get consistent at, but getting to reload your game just warps you to the previous preview you were at, and that's really useful because it's basically a free warp. And as an example, let me get 100% save file. As an example, in some games, you want to get this save point, which is right before the Chrysanta boss fight, and you want to do some stuff. And then, for example, you want to go for this save spot, you want to go for Kirse, and then you want to go to Our Lady to get the last piece of mask to get to the last part of the game. And once you have the last piece of mask, you just save warp, and if the last save point, the last preview you were at was the Archcathedral rooftops, you just warp there, and you just skip all the backtracking towards this place. And it's pretty awesome. Actually, there is a save room here, but that's a bit faster. So yeah, that's basically a thing to know, is that you have to be aware of the last save point you were at, because it will help you a lot during some routing or during your runs. So then there are only 3 techniques I want to talk about. Last, one of them is really important, the 2 are just flashy, the other 2 are just flashy. The most important one I already mentioned is called upward slash cancel. So the upward slash is this attack, so as I mentioned before, it has air damage multiplier properties, but the fact is that on the ground, the penitent one can cancel many attacks by crouching. So in the beginning we were used to do that, as it's doable on controller and it's pretty easy, but this attack actually is only, the hitbox is only out when the slash is on the screen. As you see, there is this kind of arc thing that follows the trail of the sword, which is a 2-frame animation, and the hitbox is only out when this arc is out. For the upslash, which is this hit, the hitbox is out on this frame. On the frame, the penitent starts the attack. So if you can manage to cancel the attack like this, actually there is no arc displayed on the screen, but the hitbox is here. And you can just spam this really quickly. I advise you to watch any run, and I guess I'll showcase this in the next video, because I managed to get a bit of routing done in the next video, so I'll showcase that. But that's basically the main output of damage, because this is the fastest attack you can spam, and it's really powerful, and it has air damage property. As I mentioned, like Tres Augustias or Exposito, there are many bosses with multiple hitboxes at the same time on the screen. You can just manage to get a point, to get a spot where you can spam UpCC and just hit multiple enemies at the same time, and this will melt the enemy's boss life. So it's a really crazy technique. It's pretty hard to get, but once you're consistent at it, it's really strong. So let me explain a bit of the setups you can use to do UpCC. Also shout out to AP Sandman, who found the technique, because this was absolutely game-changing regarding boss routing. So I'll go over 3 different setups. First, I'll go over my setups. So I guess I'll just put on the camera here. So here's my keyboard. As I am using a keyboard, there is up on this key here. Attack is on 1 numpad here, and down is on S. So what I'm doing is that I'm pressing up and slash at the same time with this part, and then I'm pressing down with the hand. And the fact is that to get a consistent UpCC, I'm trying to alternate between those 2 stuff, and this will help get really fast. It's actually more difficult than the next technique I'm going to show, the next setup I'm going to show you, but I think it's a bit faster. The the one is the setup Kitokis uses. Kitokis is an also great runner of this game. He has many glitchless world record categories, and he is also a mod. So what Kitokis does is that he takes 3 adjacent buttons, and he maps down attack and like up attack and down next to each other. So he just has to roll his fingers onto the different keys, and this will make an upslash crouch cancel. You can see that onto his stream. He has an input layout which is really awesome regarding that. That really displays well how he will alternate between those buttons. The last setup I want to show you is how to do that on controller. This setup was found by Bobby Torin, which is a French runner of this game on Any%, and he told me about it while playing. So the setup is that you'll see that with the input display, you press up, and actually I'll do this. I'll try to show it correctly. You want to press, so here's the attack button. You want to press up on the D-pad, and you want to claw grip with your hand. And what you'll do is that pressing up here and then attack will do an upslash, and then you will press down on the joystick, because the joystick inputs are always prioritized over the D-pad input. It will make the penitent crouch and still have the up button buffer. So you can go like this. It's really consistent, but it's a bit slower than doing it on keyboard. So that's for the UpCC, basically. It's an impossible word to say. So, and now there are 2 last techniques I want to talk about. The first one, okay, let me get my setup back. The first one is called instant fold laser attack. So when you have unlocked the full attack, you can just charge, and this will do a laser. If you do it from a jump, it won't work. You have to jump for a higher position than the one you're getting back to. This laser is actually pretty powerful. It has really good damage properties, and it's basically a Templar of Lights, which is a prayer with a laser. I think it's about 100 damage. I don't know. And that's 100 damage is pretty powerful. And you have a way to immediately proc the fact that you want to do a laser. It's when you're standing on the ground that you can drop off. You can do an attack, start charging an attack, and drop at the same time, and this will make the penitent one freak out and enter a weird state. And if you hold the attack button, you can just trigger instantly a laser. So this looks like this. So let me get it. So I'm not used to it because it doesn't have any use in runs actually. So this looks like this, and you can actually have fun because if you do this, if you let go of the attack button, you can just go and mess around with the penitent one being in this weird state. And if you hold the attack button, you'll just go. You just go like this. And you have to be careful because if you do it too soon, you will drop off the platform like I just did. And I'm just not used to do it consistently, so because I don't use it in runs, but I guess this could have some use at any point. And it's actually pretty bonkers to see, so I kinda like this technique. Okay, last technique, I want to go for another save file, which is in our barrel. Oh, I just forgot, I have to mention one thing, which is this, the Brilliant Heart of Dawn. This is something you unlock after beating all the Amenacidas, which are the bosses in New Game Plus. And basically what it does is when you do a dodge, it applies the dodge speed to your walking speed. And this actually has this is actually one of the best movement options in the game, because when you jump, you are forced to get back to the default walking / airspeed, and if you have this, you have the dodge speed during your jump, and this allows for crazy skips and many different stuff. So this is one of the things you want to have equipped pretty much all the time in New Game Plus runs, because it's really good. If you hop on the Blasphemous Discord server, I think I'll put a link in the video, there are resources of 100% safe file you can use to start directly New Game Plus's runs. I might be doing a training mod to get more consistent training stuff, but I'm not into it right now, so maybe I'll give an update about that. So, last technique I want to talk about is hard fall cancel. So basically a hard fall is when you fall from two high points. You have this animation where the penitent freezes in the ground and cannot move. There is actually one rosary bed that is this the piece of a tombstone, or when you have it you can recover faster from this animation, and you can cancel it with a dash pretty easy, but that's not that big of a deal, it's not that good. However, there is one stuff you can do. It's a frame perfect trick that allows you to cancel the hard fall animation the frame you hit the ground. If you want a visual cue for that, is when the penitent hits the ground, there is this small circle that appears, but basically no one ever bothers about it because it's really hard to get consistently, and it's not that big of a deal. It's just like 1 second here and there. So just for you know that it's there, you can get hard fall cancel here and there. Basically, for me, I just try to spam dodge whenever I'm about to land, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But something you can get aware of is that, for example, here, getting down from Albero to here, okay, also ladders are broken, so you can have a lot of different stuff you can do with ladders. Something you can do is you can drop, catch the ladder, and jump, and this will cancel the hard fall. So you have to be aware that you have many ways of cancelling the hard falls, and they are really useful. So I guess that's it. There are many different ways, like getting on the side of a ledge and dropping back. You can have many different ways of cancelling any animation of the penitent with other animation and falling. But for the basics of the basics, I guess that's a good spot. One last thing I could tell you is that when you are about to enter a room, you can do a dash attack, which is a continuation of the dodge speed to get through a transition. But if you don't manage to get it, you will slow down, because the end of the dash attack is pretty laggy. Okay, so I think in the next video I'll be going back on the 1.0.6 version to showcase the different UpCC, some boss strats, and all the different glitches that we have to this day on Blasphemous game. Anyway, thanks for watching, and if there are any links or whatever, it will be in the description.